Hello all, welcome back. Here today we are going to understand what is render, okay, and what is commit, what's happening inside the React.js. Like we have appointed one React.js architect to improve the performance, like virtual or whatever it is, okay, and we are following component based approach and what all the things. But what is happening internally? What is a render and what is a re-render? Why we need to save some information in the state only? Okay, why can't we store the information in the local variable? Because in local variables also we can store some information, and we can deal with that, right? But why we need to use a state? Or suppose right now we are learning functional components, we are learning hooks, so why we need to use state only? Why we need to store information in the use state only? Why not in a local variable? And why we need to use a set state to update the state? Okay, why we should not change the state directly? Okay, lots of things are there, right? So step by step. Okay, yesterday I had told you that I will explain this later, I will explain this later. So hopefully I will cover all those things in this session. So you need a patience, definitely you need a lot of patience, and watch till the end so that you will understand what is render. So if you see, this documentation is really beautiful. Okay, there is a phase called trigger, something called render, and something called commit. Okay, lots of new terminology is there. So if you want to understand, watch the video till the end and do practice along with me if you are watching the video. Okay, fine. Yesterday we have created a simple component called counter, and we have just taken use help of use state, and we have stored the information. Okay. Yesterday we did a lot of things, so I'm just going to remove all the unnecessary things. So just to focus on the actual topic. So I'm just removing all the thing, even local state also I have removed. So if you want, okay, let me do one thing. Just I will create quickly, just so that you can recollect what we have done. So meanwhile, just recollect what we have learned today. So just I'm just creating a counter and return. So it is going to return the JSX. So who know already how to create this one, you can forward for 2 minutes so that you can catch up. 2 or 3 minutes. So counter, and here I have a button. Okay, that is increment. That is increment. And I'm just taking another button called decrement. Inside that, I'm just putting one h1 tag to display the count value. Okay, right now we don't have a state. So what I'm doing, I'm just importing use state hook from React.js library. Okay, use state. Already we understand yesterday in detail. A use state is going to return an array of two values. So it will take some initial value. So if you give a 0, count value, the initial value of that count, will be 0, and there is a setter function. So if you want to update the count, just take help from set count. Okay, and here I'm just displaying the count simply. That's fantastic. And now I'm going to add event handler. So I'm just taking help of arrow functions. So I'm just giving up meaningful names for the handlers. Handle, increment, increment. So if I do any spelling mistakes, please sorry for that. Increment, and in the same way, we can do the decrement also. We can do the decrement also. Handle, decrement. So what we need to do, the increment and decrement, just we need to give a new state, the set count. So what is the previous count? Plus 1. At the same time, if you want to, whenever you click on a button called decrement, it is going to decrease by 1. That's simple. And now just provide the handlers properly so that our component is ready. So then I'm going to explain in detail what is rendering and what is happening inside the browser while we are doing rendering and all those things. Just save it. Handle increment and then decrement. So just export default default the counter. So our counter is ready. Already I just imported inside the app component. That's why no need to worry about that. So hopefully this is going to be rendered properly. So increment and decrement. So just increase the count, it's working, and decrease the count, it's working. So the platform is ready for us. So here now just jump back to the paint. So here we should understand what is a render. So in the documentation itself clearly saying that there are three phases. One is trigger and render and count. Okay, trigger, render, and count. A lot of things are there. So now tell me, are you ready to understand what is render and what is trigger and what is a commit, what is a virtual DOM? Lots of things are there. Just say yes or no.
Yeah, Raghu.
Bhavita, Vasanta, who are watching this video, this is the most important concept in React.js. If you understand this concept, you can understand all the remaining concepts easily. If you don't know what is the render and what is a re-render, what is happening inside, it's very difficult to understand the React.js. Okay, that's why I'm just stressing you. Please focus. Okay, fine. So here we understand that initially in the HTML document we have HTML head and body. Inside the body we have only one div that is called root. That is called. Okay. I'm going to draw a lot of diagrams here. So just observe clearly the ID of this document is. So this is the original DOM. This is the original DOM. What we are able to see on the web page. So this is the div. This is the div. And the ID of that div is root. Okay. In that index.js file, you can see that we are taking a reference from the original DOM and we are going to attach it. Okay. I hope you know that. So here, okay, just no need to draw everything. Okay. So you understand. Here, one painter is there. Okay, just remember. So this painter, whenever you load any HTML file inside the browser, it will create the one DOM. Okay, one DOM document object model. Means it's nothing but a object, just a JavaScript object. It will be available in the form of object, but virtually I'm just drawing like this. Okay, then what this painter will do, he is going to paint everything on a web page. So whatever the div is there inside, if you put h1 tag or count or whatever it is, it will display. This painter job is, if he observed any change in the DOM, any change in the virtual DOM, he is going to repaint. Okay, because whatever that, if he found some changes, he will remove everything on the web page and he is going to repaint everything. So I hope I've explained this many times. So hopefully you know this concept. If I do any changes to the DOM, this painter is going to update the canvas. It's going to repaint the. So now what is happening before that DOM? So here we understand that. So observe carefully. Here I'm just putting a DOM. Once you find the changes in the DOM, we have a painter. This painter is going to display the UI. So here you will see the UI, user interface, is going to paint everything. So inside, because here we are writing some components, so we are going to give our changes to the original. Either you can draw this type left side or right side, whatever it is. Okay. Suppose if you're familiar, okay, I think most of the tutorials are following this left to right, right to left or something. So this is the sorry for wasting time. This is the UI, and here we have a painter. Okay, and this box, I'm just drawing one more box here. This is the original DOM. This is the original. This is the original DOM. Okay, here the place, this place is for our React.js. Okay, what is happening here? Okay, architect is there, right? React and React DOM or something. We can just understand here something. Okay, fine. So initially, what is there in our component tree? If you observe carefully, so just forgot about all the unnecessary components here. What just focus on one thing: index.js file, app.js file, and we have only one component. We have here the counter. Just consider that. So index.js is going to interact with the index.html file. Okay, but our main component is the app component. Inside that we have another component called counter. So here our we have one app component, and again we have one child component that is called counter. So I'm just mentioning here, this is app component and this is the counter component. So first time when you got the HTML file into the browser, okay, we will get a simple DOM, which I have shown here, simple DOM, and this painter is going to paint it. Okay, once that is done, so if you see initially here, if you see, we are able to see the counter, right? We are able to see the counter. So first time, so the render phase is done. So how this render is happening? You just go back here, index.js. What we have written here, we are doing this root.render. That means we are asking React.js, could you please render our application. So inside this app, right now we have only one component. Suppose if you see the Amazon e-commerce application, maybe hundreds of thousands of components are there in that component tree. That inside that app, maybe 100 components are there minimum. So right now we have only one component. So we are saying that just please render. Okay, inside index.html, if you see this public folder index.html, in the body we have only one div, nothing is there in the original DOM. And now we are initiating, whenever the JavaScript is going to execute in the client side, at the time clearly we are saying that please render my app. So here what React.js is going to do, this is app, right? This is the component, and counter is also component, and here we are maintaining and parent and child relationship. So here first what it will do, it will convert, observe carefully, whenever you do render, then what will happen, it will convert into components. So it will convert into React elements. What is React element? It's just a simple object. Okay, that object holds what to display on the UI for this app component. What is there inside the app component? Nothing. It's simple a div. So I want to display a div. So it will give that information in the form of object. Okay, nothing is there. And again, it is going to convert this counter also into React element. So that this information is in the form of object. Just remember that is one object. Even I will show you by logging the component details. So this is another object. So it will have some props details and reference details and key value page. A lot of things are there inside. Whatever it is doing, don't worry about it. What it is do, it will, because React.js what is doing, it is rendering. Okay, rendering means first it will invoke this component, so that it will convert that JSX. Okay, inside that we are using JSX, right? It's simply JSX. Whatever you mentioned in that JSX, it is going to convert to React element. Okay, that is an object. Two objects are there. So it is, that means it is saying that okay, I have a simple indirectly, I have a div. Please display this div on my screen on the original DOM. And this counter have again what is the counter have? It has a div Inside the div, it has two buttons and one h1 tag, right? So I'm just mentioning like button. So just imagine, I think you know, right, what is there inside. So you're clearly saying that app component is just a div, and here this counter is one div. Inside that, one h1 tag is there, two buttons are there, some state is there, whatever the stuff is there. So but end of the day, this is the UI you need to display on the original DOM. So now I'm just understood up to this point. What render means, the first stage is it will convert that component into an object, React element, because we are writing in a JSX, right? So that with the help of that Babel, it will convert that into a normal object. And it will hold what we need to display on the UI. So this app component have one div. This counter component have the React element has one div and one h1 tag and two buttons and some information that we need to display in the original DOM. So here, so okay, let me take the confirmation. Understood, or you have any questions? Arun, Bhavita, and Vasanta.
Yeah, Ravi.
Understood? Vasanta, Bhavita.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, fine. So then in the initial render, in the initial phase, it is going to hand over to the, because it is going to hand over these details to the original DOM. So here, yeah, I will just drop. I think it's again. I just drawn this direction. So let's put the thing left side. Okay, left to right or right to left is not a big deal. Hopefully we understand. Okay, this is the UI, and this is the original DOM. In between, we have a beautiful, like, intelligent painter. This is the DOM. Okay, fine. So here we have some head element or something. So just imagine, just visualize that here we have a div, the root div. What, just imagine this is there inside this box. So now you have two things. Okay, we are saying that React is saying that, okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, you want one div to place it, right? And inside that you need to place one more counter inside this div. Okay, I'm ready with my changes. So this is render phase. Okay, rendering means just converting this all the components JSX into React element, and that is the object. Of course, everything, most of the things in the object format, and whatever you want to place on the browser, it is ready with that information. So that is called render phase. Initial render have come done. So here there is one phase is there. So once that is ready, then we are going to commit our changes. COMMIT. That means, okay, I'm done. I'm ready with my changes. Please place those things on the original DOM. Please place or put that information, the new divs, okay, new HTML elements or React elements. Please place those things on the original DOM. That is very important. So here, observe carefully. Suppose this is the root div, and inside the root div, we need to place app div. Inside that we have a counter div. That's it. We are changing that information in the original DOM. So here, of course, the previous box is still there. So head is there. Okay, HTML head is there. Body is there. Inside the, like, below the body we have a div tag, and these are the only two UI elements are there. So this commit phase is just place everything properly in that order. So then you got the changes, right? Previously, whenever you got the document to your computer, at the time we have only a div, empty div, that is id root, nothing is there. So Previously that was there in the browser. Some simple div is there. Simple div is there. But once this rendering happened, once he found out the once he convert that components into React elements, and he will hand over to the commit phase. So this commit phase, commit thing, okay, inside what is there, we are going to discuss. This commit phase, what it will do, he is going to update the details in the original DOM. Once you got the changes to the original DOM, automatically the painter will come into the picture. Okay, this painter what will do? Okay, you did some changes to the original DOM, so now this is my responsibility. Oh, what he will do? He is going to delete everything. Observe carefully, he is going to delete everything, and he is going to draw one more time. So here he will draw. Previously as plain div is there, no information is there in the div, but here you have created another div that is called app. Inside that you are placing another div that is called counter. Observe carefully, I will show in the browser itself. There's a counter. I think due to lack of space I'm just drawing ugly, but whenever you are drawing, just take 2 or 3 papers and just draw it properly. And here we have a counter. So in the counter we have a button. This is the button and this is the button. These are the HTML elements. Like end of the day, React element is converted into the HTML element and it will place it. And here the count information. Initial count, suppose if we put a 0 and which h1 tag, it will display the count. So here render phase is done. Okay, render phase means whenever you just invoke the render, react dom dot render the first time, what it is there, where is that file, index.js file. This is the root file, right? You have a reference of this index.js file in index.html with the help of webpack. Okay, that's what we understood while configuring the webpack, create React app. Okay, so here we are doing react.root.render. Okay, clearly this is a proof. We are invoking that just please do render process and commit those changes on the original DOM. So that is done. That is done. Right now you are able to see the changes in the original DOM like this. So if you see, just I will inspect the element. So initially, so if you want to see the initial page, right click and view page source. Okay, this is the page. This is the page you got from the server. You got from the server. So initially there is no divs are there. Only div ID is equal to root. Even if we don't have any information inside the div. So that's a plain div. You can't see anything on the web page initially. So but initially immediately we are invoking that react.root.render and you are giving the app component tree so that it is going to do very quickly and it is going to place those things on a browser so that we are able to see that elements inside that. So if you see, this is the root div, this is the root div. Inside that we have a app div. Inside that this is the part of a counter and we have a button, we have a h1 tag, we have a button tag with the increment, the text and the counter value is 4 because I did, okay, just to refresh, this is the initial page, right, 0, so it is displaying. So that's what I've explained so far, because so far I didn't click on a button, I didn't change any state, nothing is there. So just whatever happened first time, because whatever you are able to see here, I just explained what's happened inside. So now tell me, do you have any questions or do you understand?
No, bro.
Understood? Bhavita understood clearly? Vasanta understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is render phase. This is render phase. It's initial render. Initial render. We don't have any problem because now go back here and if you see, I will show you. I will just show in a much more simpler way. So we have React. What React will do? It will create an app component. Inside that we have a counter component. Okay. If you want to place it, okay, Raghu, don't worry. Why you are taking this much time to explain the simple concept? Okay, I'm just ready with my changes. Okay, just go and place these changes into the original DOM. Okay, these changes into the original DOM. That's it. That's it. And then painter will come and painter will draw it on the web page. That's it. That's it. Here, what we understand in that background, we gone through first it has done rendering Once the changes hand over to the commit phase, this commit is going to apply the changes to the original DOM. So what will happen in the commit phase? The changes are going to apply to the original DOM. But here observe one thing in the rendering phase, in the initial render. Okay, rendering means initial render, initial time. So it will create a HTML elements in the original DOM. Okay, previously we don't have any elements, right? It will create HTML elements. That's why we are able to see the changes on the web page. Now we are going to understand what will happen if I click on increment. If I click on increment, what will happen? That is very, very important. So, are you ready to understand what is going to happen if you click on that button internally? What React.js is doing? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah, yeah, Raghu.
Okay. Before going to that, just take a break for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes maximum. Just tell me.
You can continue, Raghu.
Yeah, it's better to take a break because we are discussing a really important thing. Because that's just a common thing. Like maximum 40 to 50 minutes, we can grasp the subject clearly. If you don't take a break, later we will face problem. So maximum 5 minutes, 3 minutes to 5 minutes. Okay, we can do one thing. Right now it's 8:51, right? So we can come back after 5 minutes. So I'm just putting a 5 minutes timer. Just go and take some water. Please take some water and come back and go for a simple walk for a minute. Minute timer. You can go. You can go. It's not working. Not sure. For 2 minutes it's working. It's giving. Okay, fine. Just come back at this is 8:52, right? Come back by 8:57. 8:57. Okay, team, are you there? I think Varun
Yes,
left.
sir.
Okay, where is Varun? Okay, just wait for a minute. Hopefully, he'll join. Meanwhile, if you have any question, ask me. Otherwise, I will just prepare the background paint. This time, I will use smaller boxes. This is the UI what we have. This is the original DOM. Here we have a paint, and this box is under control of. Here we have this is commit phase. Already we have done render. Fine. Just this is also done. I know this is the user interface. Whatever you can able to see everything counter button is there. Increment this button. Increment here we are able to see counter 0. Varun, you are back now.
Yeah, Raghu.
Okay, are you ready to understand what is going to happen whenever we click on that button, increment button? Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Just very you're saying very dull, don't have energy. Just say
Yeah, Raghu.
yes loudly. Okay, Bhavita, are you ready? Vasanta, are you ready? Yeah, I'm just kidding. Okay, I hope you guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now what we are doing now, just we are clicking on increment. Whenever you click on this increment button, whenever you click on increment button, is our counter. Whenever we click on increment button, what we are doing, we are calling set count. When we are calling set count. Here, what is going to happen? Just observe carefully. We have two components, that's why we don't need to break our head. This is one component, and this is another component. It is called counter. That is a virtual DOM tree. We have a I will show you again. I will draw virtual DOM and snapshot and original DOM. I will show in that perspective also. Don't worry. Here, this is component, app component, and this is the counter component. I'm just mentioning like a C. So you're calling set state from this component, right? You're calling set state from this component. Set state. So this happened. That has triggered. Whenever you just do a set state, whenever you just click on a button, okay, whenever you click on that button, and it is going to invoke this handler, and it is going to hit set count. Okay, here two things will happen. Just remember, these are most important things. One thing is it is going to update the state. Okay, previously the count is 0. Now it is going to increment that count. The count value will become 1. Okay, that count value will become 1 naturally. So even for that also I'm just putting something please, because before updating, it will take a snapshot. For that, I'm writing here. Okay, whenever you call set state, there are two responsibilities for that. One is increase the state. Increase means whether decrease or increase, whatever. Updating the state. State. Updating the state is the one responsibility, and the second responsibility. This is the most important. Again, trigger the render one more time. What I'm saying, whatever we have done, where in initial phase we have done, right, we gone through render phase, because at the time we have written some code. Observe carefully, where is index.js file. Here we have written that code, that react, okay, root dot render, we are saying that just go for render. React, please render it, whatever the components I have created, please render and just place those things on the original DOM. Because you are the architect, I have just depend on you. I'm not going to touch the original DOM directly, because I just give a reference. For that only, I just touch the original DOM. Apart from that, I'm not going to touch the original DOM at any point of time. Okay. So initial render, we triggered, we written the logic, we root dot render. That means this is the initial trigger happened. But here what's happening, so in the UI, still the count is zero, because this painter is going to take the responsibility whenever you update those changes to the original DOM. If he observe the changes in the original DOM, then only he's going to update in the UI. Otherwise, he's not going to touch anything. So here, in this component, we have done a change. Suppose in this counter, I'm just putting some circle. Here the value, previously the value of this count value is 0, and you have changed it to 1. Okay. But there is no relation now. So you see, DOM is here, the painter is here, the UI is here. Okay. These DOM don't know what you have done in the React component, because this is under control of React. These components are under control of React. Because this DOM is not going to interfere into your work, or this painter is not going to check whether you have done a changes or not. That is not the job of the painter. The painter will just check only the DOM, original DOM. If you have done any changes to the original DOM, he is going to repaint on the UI. That is the job of that. But you have done some changes here. The counter is 0 to 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it is. But we should inform to the original DOM, right? Okay, whatever the changes we have done, we should give those changes to the original DOM. Then only this painter will recognize those changes and he will update on the UI. So here, to do that, because whenever we did some change, we should do re-render. Means please do a rendering process one more time. Okay, but we don't have any method like here. After some time, we can't do that root or re-render or something. Okay, what we need to do? Okay, we don't need to do too much things. Just whenever you call this setter method, automatically it will do the two job. One is it will update the state. Suppose the update the state means, suppose the counter value is 0, it is updated to 1. It should take that responsibility. And the second job is trigger the render. Please trigger the render, because if you don't trigger the render, React also don't know that. Okay, we have done some changes, we need to update it. So now you understand, right? Set state means it will update the state from 0 to 1, and it will trigger the rendering process. So it will give some signal to the render. Okay, please render, please do it one more time. Very good. Now here the most important thing is, okay, before going to do any changes to this virtual DOM, if you see, observe carefully. I will just draw this here. Okay, the re-render process. So if you understand this thing, like almost 50% is done. Complex things in React.js, I'm saying. In React.js, 50% done. If you don't understand this, definitely we can't answer in interview. We can learn React up to some extent, but we can't answer in interviews, because they will ask different questions. So here the count value is 0. Suppose I'm just I will just attach some small circle here. The value is, previously the value is small 0. Okay, I did really a bad way, just at least visualize it in a good way. So here, before updating this, what it will do now, what it will do, it will take a snapshot. Okay, this is the virtual DOM. Right now, virtual DOM is very simple. We have only two objects, two components. Okay, it will take a snapshot. It will, okay, 1 minute. I didn't take snapshot properly. Yeah, it will take a snapshot. It will take a snapshot. Okay, and now it will update the state. Okay, set state. What it will do? It will update it. Whenever it just invoke a re-render. Okay, React.js is going to do this job. First, it will take a snapshot before updating, and it is going to update the new value in the counter. Okay, now the value of this counter is increment, right? The value is 1. Okay, but here one more thing is there. So it is going to flag, the components. It is going to flag the component. Means suppose you have done a changes in this counter. We no need to re-render this app component, right? We no need to re-render any other components because this is a change, so that we need to update this one only. Okay, we can talk about that in detail later. Suppose right now we have done changes for this counter, so it will flag that okay, there is a change, happened, there is a change expecting by the user in this component. He has invoked the set state and he has given a new state. Okay, fine, just taken that. So, and it will compare it. Observe carefully, it will compare it. Here, the diffing algorithm will come. So what this diffing algorithm will do now, it will compare. Okay, how it will compare? These are the components, right? This is the JSX. No, because already we should understand that whenever we invoke the render, it will convert the JSX React component into React element. This React element is nothing but a simple object with all the information. So it is going to, with the help of diffing algorithm, it will identify the changes in this componentry and this componentry. So here we found one change, only one change in this component. Okay, whatever the changes, it will list out all the changes. And if the changes happen, if has done from 0 to 1, it will identify the changes, and it is going to hand over these changes to the commit phase. So carefully, what has done? Re-render means it is convert, before converting that it will take one copy, and it will update the changes to the virtual DOM. This is a snapshot. This is the virtual DOM, and after that it will start comparing these two, virtual DOM and snapshot. It will find out the differences. If differences are there, if differences count is more than 0, okay, simply if we found any differences, then only it will go to the commit phase. Otherwise it will sit ideally. Okay, nothing has changed. Okay, you have given us set state, but you didn't change any state. Nothing has changed in the in this objects, in this component. So at the time it is not going to do any commits. So right now, luckily, we have changed state from 0 to 1. 0 to 1. So that's why we found one difference. Okay, only one difference. What is the difference? Observe carefully. If you see the diagram, increment button, we don't have any change in the increment button. We don't have any change in the decrement button. Nothing is there. Only the change in the H1 tag, right? See, observe carefully. I'm doing here. Just observe here this place. Observe this place. I'm just doing increment. So if you see, you are able to see some reflections in this H1 tag only. You are not able to see any reflections in the other side. That means we are just changing this component only, this HTML element only. So it will find out that difference, and it will give it to the commit phase. Here one more beautiful algorithm is there. That is called, what is that algorithm name? Remember? What is that algorithm name? You can see.
Reconciliation algorithm.
If you forgot this name, means you lost 3 or 4 points in the interview. Or okay, don't learn only for interview purpose. Reconciliation algorithm. Here, this diffing algorithm will compare the changes, compare these two DOM trees. That's nothing but objects, nothing but object. Okay, if you just understand how this diffing algorithm, you can convert these React elements into components into React elements in the object form. You can apply that diffing algorithm. You can see those changes also. Maybe after 1 year, if I learn that, definitely I will explain to you. Okay, these changes means here, if you have any changes, I'm saying this is very very important point. If we have any changes, then only it will go for the commit phase. Otherwise it will kill that process. That's it. Is the non is not going to commit phase. It will kill that process. That's it. It will sit ideally if you don't find any differences. If you found one difference, okay, fine, one difference is there, I will hand over it to the commit phase. This reconciliation algorithm is going to update only that change in the original DOM, because this is the original DOM, right? So what is the change in the original DOM? Suppose this is the app component. So this is the root div, right? This is the root div. Because on top of that, we have HTML and body or header or something. So this is app component, and this is the counter component. CUNT counter component. Inside that, we have three HTML elements. One is button, another is another button. In middle, we have h1 tag. So here changes is, we are saying that only h1 tag. Previously, the inner HTML is 0. Now the inner HTML for that h1 tag is 1. That is the only change I found after doing differing algorithm. So I'm just giving those changes to you. That's it. Then this reconciliation algorithm is going to update the only one change in that h1 element here. So that is there in the counter, right? Two buttons on h1. And then this painter is there now. This painter is there. Okay, he found that change. So I'm just putting here. Previously h1 tag is there. H1 tag. We have a count is, we have the inner text is some 0. So now that is going to change from 0 to 1. That inner HTML only. That's it. Nothing changed. Nothing. Even we didn't change any styles also. So that the previous change is. So he will update. This reconciliation algorithm is going to update those changes on the original DOM. So once you found these changes on the original DOM, and this painter will come, and painter is going to repaint everything. Yes, he will repaint. Yes, he will repaint. Okay. So, okay, he will repaint everything. And what is a new change here? There's a new change here. Okay, that's it. That is called re-render. Now tell me, understood or not? Understood or not? A lot of things are there. This is the basic process. Understood? Still confused? A lot of things are there in your mind. Just tell me, Varun, Vasanta, and Bhavita, understood or not?
Understood, Raghu.
Okay, Vasanta, understood?
Yes, sure. Yes, Raghu.
Okay, what about you, Bhavita?
ఓకే సార్
Okay,
మళ్ళీ
fine.
ఒకసారి చూడండి.
Fine, fine. So now, okay, here I told you one thing. I told you one thing. If we found any changes, okay, here just put a if condition. Okay, if changes are true, if changes, okay, here I'm just putting if changes are true, like otherwise if changes are greater than or equal to 0, it will go to the commit phase. Otherwise it will stop doing anything. Stop doing anything. So I will show you that practically now itself. Okay, are you ready to see that one, or we can check those things later tomorrow?
No, no, we can see now.
Can see now? Yes, very good. So what I'm doing here, I'm just putting a console.log here. Okay, just do console.log here. I'm just putting. counter hyphen render. Okay, of course whenever it is re-render, of course at the time also it will print the same thing, and I'm just putting the same thing in app.js because we have two components only, right? So I'm just putting console.log app component render. So because render means whenever it will invoke this function component, at the time it is going to convert that JSX into React element, right? That means that render has triggered. Render has triggered. That is a proof, right? That is a proof. Okay, here in index.js. Okay, right now we are using strict mode. Strict mode. That's why you will see the changes two times. Two times. I will show you one thing. Initially, just refresh. The console, so you will see the changes: app rendered, counter rendered. You are seeing two times because in the strict mode it will do the same process two times. So but I will talk about this one, why, what is the strict mode and all these things. Right now I'm just commenting the strict mode. That means we are doing normal thing one time. Just refresh. So initial load, observe carefully, initial load, app has rendered and counter has rendered. Observe carefully, app has rendered and counter has rendered. So now according to our discussion, if I click on this counter component, the changes has done for only counter component, and we will see the changes only for h1, that is the part of counter. That means in that render process we told that, right? So we found the differences and we have given to the reconciliation algorithm. It is going to do this only those changes. Observe carefully. Whenever I click on increment, if we found any state changes for the counter, it is going to re-render. Did you observe? Observed or not?
Yeah, Raghu, observed.
Did you observe anything? App has re-rendered one more time?
No.
No. Because? Why because? Because the changes has done only for the counter component. That's why it has re-rendered. It has re-rendered. Okay, super fantastic. I hope you guys understood. So if I click on this increment two times, three times, four times, observe carefully, if I click seven times, it has re-rendered seven times. It followed this re-rendered process seven times. Every time it found one difference, so that it is given to a reconciliation algorithm, it is updated. Okay, now, okay, if you understand
Whole
this,
component,
tell me.
whole component will reload at interview.
Whole component tree is going to reload it, but right now we have only changes for the component, right? We don't have any children for this component, right? Counter component. That's why only this component is going to re-render.
Okay, if you are having children, then the children will also reload.
Yes. That we can discuss tomorrow. Yeah, if you have a children, it is going to re-render. Okay, right now for today, May 11th, 2023. So far, we are just discussing up to like one level. We have one app component, one counter component. If we add any children to that counter component, what will happen? We can discuss tomorrow with live examples. Okay. So now I'm going to do one thing. Okay, I'm going to do one thing in the counter.jsx. Here I'm putting count minus one. This one handle decrement. I'm just putting count minus one. But increment, what I'm doing, I'm just putting zero only. I'm putting zero only. If whenever I click on increment, I'm just giving the new value as zero itself. Previous value is zero, and new value also zero. Previous value is zero, and new value also zero. Just refresh. And now tell me if you understand what I have explained so far. Hopefully you will give a right answer. Okay. If I click on increment, just tell me if I click on increment, whether it is going to re-render or not. Observe the code properly. If I click on increment button, I'm going to give a new state that value is 0. Whenever you hit the set count, it is going to trigger re-render process. It is going to trigger re-render process, and it will take a snapshot, and it will update the changes to the virtual DOM. That diffing algorithm is going to compare. After that, just tell me what will happen.
No, Raghu. It
No?
will not re-render.
Sure?
Yeah.
I will take opinion from others also. Vasanta and Bhavita.
I think it will update virtual DOM only.
It will update the virtual DOM. What is the previous value? It was 0, right? And it is going to update with again 0. Right? Again, okay. In initial render, that value is 0. Second time we are setting state. Again we are giving a 0. Yes, it is going to update the value again as a 0. Okay. And before updating this count to 0 one more time, it has taken a snapshot. It is comparing all the differences. Right now, it is going to found any difference or not?
No difference, no, Raghu. That's why I said no.
Yeah. I'm asking Vasanta and Bhavita also.
Can you
Sir,
repeat
re-render
once?
అవుతుంది బట్ వాల్యూ అప్డేట్ అవ్వదు.
Yes, yeah. It will trigger the re-render. This value, it is going to 0. Suppose 1 minute. Okay. Previously, if you have some memory box or something, if you put 0, and next time if you do set state of 0, okay, again, okay, either it will take a copy or something, that's a different topic, immutability or something we can talk about later. So it will give again same counter value is not going to change. It is going to update with again 0. Okay? That means here there is no change. So whenever you go with the diffing algorithm, it doesn't find any changes. So now tell me, don't expect answer from me whether it is re-render or not. That's what my question. If I click on
No, it
increment,
will not re-render.
no re-render.
No re-render.
Okay, Bhavita, what is your answer? You said it is going to re-render. Okay. Sorry. I just put in a confusion because yes, this I'm saying okay. It is going to trigger the re-render. It is going to trigger the re-render, but whether it is going to update the changes or not, because that's what. So because rendering process, because
సార్
okay,
re-render అవుతుంది కానీ వాల్యూ సేమ్ ఉంటుంది సార్ 0.
yeah. I think I explained something. So if you see, okay, I will correct it. Okay, so if you see, if you click on increment 100 times, if you see that is not re-rendered. Okay, so actually what will happen, this process has done that process, we can call it as a re-render. Okay, here there is a confusion. Okay, because I'm saying it is triggered. So whenever you call the set state, and it will check whether the previous state and the current state is same, it is not going to re-render the process. Okay, but internally it will compare. If you don't find any differences, here the count is 0, right? Here the count is 0. Oh yeah, I understood. Bhavita, what, in which perspective you said, I understand. I will correct it. Okay, I will correct my explanation. So if you don't find any changes, and what is going, so it is not going to go for commit phase. There is no reconciliation work, there is no updation in the DOM, there is no nothing happening. Okay, whenever we trigger the re-render happen, at the time it will log the console.log. Okay, here really I got a confusion because if whenever we invoke that app component or a counter component, whenever it is converting from JSX into React element, at the time it is going to execute this one.
I'm not getting what you're talking about actually.
And I think Bhavita understood, right? Okay, right now we no need to um, deviate from our understanding. Okay, simple. So if you don't find any changes, it is not going to do any commit. You can't see any changes in the UI. So that UI is stable. Okay. So now in the decrement, because in the decrement we are doing count minus one. Count minus one. Then what will happen whenever you do count minus one? Tell me now.
Yeah, we'll get to console from the re-render.
Because it is updating on the original DOM. It is just doing that process. We are finding the differences, and that's why it is logging. So I understand what is my confusion little bit. I will go through the documentation and I will explain tomorrow, Varun, because already you have good understanding. I don't want to disturb your understanding. Okay. So this is what happening. This is what happening because I'm just have a confusion because confusion. What is the confusion means, Varun? Because whenever we invoke this counter now, okay, at the time it will execute this one, right? It will execute this line, right? Console.log. So it will check internally. It will check internally first. It will take a snapshot. It will update in the virtual DOM, and if you don't find any difference, it is not going to update any commits, and if nothing will happen. But I'm just uh, slight thing that whenever we invoke the counter component at the time, it will execute this component, this line, right? That's where my confusion. Okay, I will explain what is my confusion also clearly tomorrow. Don't worry. But this is what happening internally. So whenever we do changes for any component, it will just do a flag because because inside the app we don't have any changes. That's why we don't need to worry about it. So tomorrow we can understand if we have any children component inside the counter, what will happen, we are going to understand tomorrow. But this is very important. Means if you give a same state after doing a set state, so it will check the previous state is also 0 and current state is also 0. That's why it is not going to do any rendering process. Okay, got it, Varun?
Yeah, Ravi, got it.
Yeah. Slight confusion, not confusion, but I need to get clarity on that actually. Well, I will explain once because this is really complex thing. Lot of terminology is there: triggering, rendering, committing, and mounting. And once we understand the use effect and the component it mount, a lot of lifecycle events are there, so that slight confusion will be there. But we need to read the documentation and we need to go through some tutorials explained by great trainers. From that, definitely we can get a complete idea. Okay, right now, whatever we understand, that is 100% perfect. But only one small doubt is there for me. I will get clarified after going through some documentation. Okay, understood so far? Because triggering means because whenever you do a set state, it will start trigger. It will just trigger the re-render. So re-render is going to do a comparison. It will create the snapshot and virtual DOM. It will go to the diffing algorithm. If you don't find any differences, and it will kill the process. If you find any differences, it will give it the commit. So that commit is going to update the changes on the original DOM. Then once the original DOM is done, then it will go and take place that painting process. So I think here this is really awesome documentation. Let me. So if you see, just go to render and commit in this documentation. So I just followed the same documentation for this explanation, but I didn't use the same diagrams. Okay, so you will see. So just read this documentation. Just spend some time. So if you see, once the series is done, this browser is going to repaint because this is the original DOM. Okay, and he's going to repaint everything. He has taken example like in the restaurant. So if you because you are sitting at the table and you are just ordering something, okay, and this is the kitchen. Inside the kitchen The cook is the component. Okay, this component is going to render some JSX. Okay, and then he's going to commit those changes. Okay, commit those changes, and once everything is once the previous state and current state has some changes, he's going to update those changes to the original DOM. That means he's going to place on the uh, table. So then the painter will come and he will draw. He has explained really in a beautiful way. Okay. Hopefully, if you read this documentation one more time, you will get more clarity. Okay. I think already we have taken a good amount of time. So once again, just tell me, you guys understood what is render and what is re-render, what is rendering process, what is the committing phase, um, when we are using diffing algorithm, when this reconciliation algorithm is going to matter. And now see, I will tell you one important thing in the final, and we can close it. Okay, are you ready? Just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Just tell me. While you are watching this video, hopefully just stop watching. Varun, Vasanta, and Bhavita, is it okay to take 2 minutes? Okay. Suppose if you see, sorry. Suppose if you see, let a is equal to 0. Okay. Let a is equal to 0. In this, we are doing a is equal to a plus 1. Okay. Here we are doing a equal to a minus 1. Okay. But the change is, whenever you do set state, it will update the state. Okay, it will update the state. Okay. Yes. Okay. And whenever you do a is equal to a plus 1, it will update the local variable. Yes, it will update the local variable. Now tell me what is the difference between set using the set count and normally just updating a is equal to a plus 1?
The set count is actually storing the value into the count variable.
Then what is the second
Uh,
responsibility?
the second one is for set count you are asking, Raghu.
Yeah.
Another one is to updating the values.
No, already update the value. Count is equal to count plus 1. That is done. Here count plus 1. I told you that it will two responsibilities for set count. One is updating the state. Another one is
Uh,
figuring what?
Rendering the component.
Yes. Okay. Of course, if I explain everything on a single session for 2 hours, it's very difficult to digest. I know that. Okay, if you see, observe carefully. If you just do changes to the local variable, it is not going to trigger. It is not going to trigger. And React is not going to take care of your local variable while re-rendering. Okay, observe carefully. But whenever you do set count, at the time it will trigger the re-render. That is the change. That means if you want, suppose if you click on a counter plus and minus button, and if you want to see those changes, what you need to do? You need to store that information in the use state, so that whenever you do set state, it will update the state. At the same time, it will trigger the render process one more time. So if you do a local variable, it is not going to render it. That is the biggest change. Of course, we can talk that in detail tomorrow. Don't worry. Really thank you. I think we started at around 8 o'clock, right? 10, right now 9:36. Okay, it's only 1.5 hours. That's fine. Yeah, now tell me, do you have any questions?
No, Raghu.
No.
No, Raghu.
Okay, very good. Bhavita, do you have any question?
No, sir. No.
Okay, thank you and see you tomorrow. Okay, my humble request is please go and read this documentation. So it will take some time. If you read first time, you can't understand anything. Just read 2 or 3 times, slowly you will understand. At least because I try to explain what is there in this documentation. It's very close to this documentation. Hopefully you will understand by this reading this documentation. Okay, thank you, and see you tomorrow again with another super important topic in React.js. See you tomorrow again.
Tomorrow also same time, Raghu?
Yeah, hopefully same time, Friday.
Yeah, okay.
Arun, is it okay, right? Tomorrow? Anyway, Saturday, Sunday we have a break so that you can enjoy and you can
Yeah,
revise
Raghu,
all the
but
concepts.
this time some work will be there, so
Difficult? Okay, we
yeah.
can we
Or
we
else you
can
can do one thing. You can do from 9 to 11 like that. You can do.
9 to 11 in the morning.
Not this time. I mean, night.